Okay. So, Papa Daddy, you want to tell us some of your plans?
It's pretty dry old wood. The configuration of the barn is not what we need for the things that we want to do, plus it's in really rough shape. So we can either salvage this barn and use the wood for things that we have to do around here, or we can tear it down and sell the old barn wood. So my plan is to, if we can salvage this wood, use it to fix up the old house and put a mezzanine in our other big steel building. That's the plan at this point.
Okay.
And then what we don't need from after that, we can sell.
All right.
Maybe do a tiny house or a separate office.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. Already gotten pretty good.
Do you think we'll be able to leave up the frame? Because the frame might still be good. We can
No, the frame, there's a lot, especially in the roof, it's just no good.
Shouldn't we have started from the top and gotten stuff from
We're
there?
taking stuff out that is non-structural.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do that down here first, and then we can go up and start taking stuff out that's non-structural up there.
Okay.
We're going to want to leave this ladder here if we don't want to do that.
All right. So that is the plan so far. We got a lot of stuff back here to clean out.
Detail pieces that we can keep, like the barn roller doors pieces.
Oh yeah.
We can use those.
Yeah, okay.
Some of them we can use, not all of them, because some of them are just so rusty.
Is the wood blackened up here because of moisture, or do you think there might have been like
There's two things that happen. One, there's if you look at this barn, this was an add-on to the barn. This is not original.
Oh, I thought that was the add-on.
That's another add-on.
Okay, so that's the add-on. This is an add-on here, but this
is the central structure here.
this okay, so
So if you look at the roof on the central structure, the original structure, in that old white pine and in the cedar, you're going to see it blackening, right?
right.
And that it just does that over time, all right?
Okay.
But the more moisture, the faster it does that.
Right.
So if you look in the addition, that happened a lot faster. Because they didn't do the addition when they resloped the roof out for these parts. They didn't do a good job at that seam in the middle.
Oh.
So moisture got in.
Okay.
It dribbles down the roof and just causes everything to age much faster.
Right.
Okay. If that had been caught about 5 years ago, where it's all rotted out over there,
Right.
then we would have been much better off. We probably could have salvaged it.
Looks so much bigger in here without my rabbit cages.
Yeah. A lot more room. Well, I mean, this is where they would have parked
The
little
small,
old tractor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Ford 8 in, 9 in, something like that. Try not to bust the wood. That's a.
Yeah, well.
Sorry
about the.
That's all right. That's all right. Just you're doing fine. It's old wood. It's dry and gonna split, which is a shame.
And you said this was white pine. Is all of it white pine,
Not
or
all
just
of
the
it's
stuff
white
up there?
Just most of the stuff that's gonna be white pine are all of your structural pieces.
Oh, okay.
Because yellow pine is a soft pine, white pine is a hard
pine. Okay.
So.
I know underneath this thing is hollow.
Right. This is an old feed bunk, but all of the soil in here, instead of dumping it out someplace, we can put it in some of these old bags.
Right.
And
Fertilizer.
Park it someplace, or sell it, or whatever.
Oh, here's one of my trash bags. So a little bit smaller stuff in here.
Yeah, let's just dump that into that big black bag.
Oh, I just gotta whip for something, and it smells pretty nice. It might be the wood.
Yeah, the wood will smell good.
Pine.
Oh.
Sorry about that big piece.
It's not your fault. Just I'm lamenting anyway, but it's not your fault.
Alright, it's gonna happen. We'll just do our best. Besides, it's still usable.
This is a nice piece.
So long as you keep it with the piece that
Yeah,
it had, it's going to be usable.
Nice.
I'm sure we can.
Anyway,
Oh,
dump that over
that's
here.
good smelling wood. Oh, that's a good smelling wood.
That could be cedar.
Ooh.
Probably not. The rebar
Yeah.
across there, how it's worn down on this side.
Mhm.
See the cleat? How it's worn off on this side.
Yeah.
Okay. If a horse has a foot that's not turning right, or they need to correct the way that hoof meets the ground. Now, sometimes these forecleats and stuff were just used on draft horses, so they had more pull and could do stuff. But you can see this horse wore to that side.
That's funny that you can tell that for the horses. Like, you can tell the same thing for people, too, can't you?
Yeah. Well, I used to do that for a living, though.
Yeah. I remember some stories about that.
This shoe does not have that cleat.
It looks a little dented in the center.
Well, this has a different. This is just to space it in for, you know, where the toe, and so when the horse steps off, if they drag their hoof up, it doesn't wear and round the toe out.
Oh.
So this is a protective piece there, as well as a piece where they know to mark it.
That's a lot more about horseshoes than I knew before.
Depending on what kind of shoeing you're doing, you'll actually take the horseshoe and because you can do a cold shoe, but most of the time they'll do a hot shoe. They'll trim out the hoof a little bit, and then they'll take that shoe and get it like red hot and size it to the horse's foot, and then actually kind of brand it in, kind of burn it in, because it's like it's like your fingernails and toenails.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of material it is, right? And it's a big, thick piece like that. So horses will grow out of them, and they need to be reshoed.
Right.
But when you burn it in a little bit like that, you kind of cauterize things in, so it fits so snugly, the stuff doesn't get up into there and rot. And it's like, can you imagine getting dirt and stuff up under your fingernails and then letting it get all rotted?
Yeah.
Okay, that would cause
be
all kinds of infections. So you don't want to do that. You'll lame your horse.
right.
So you want to set it in there and take care of it. Now, a lot of the stuff that we do with modern shoeing, they'll do rubber shoes and stuff like that.
Right.
And so you can't exactly mate those the same way.
No.
So anyway, that's.
History lesson on horseshoes.
But this is bolted in. You can see how it's.
Yeah, it's bolted in on that one too.
Yeah. I don't know if they used this to put something up there between those or what.
Possible. This isn't a horseshoe. This is
No,
just
that's a lifting cleat.
Oh,
You would have
okay.
had something like a pulley on that.
Okay.
So you would use that for.
That's pretty cool.
But I mean, if you wanted to lift stuff into the back of the bed of your wagon, that's what you do it with.
Oh yeah, because
'Cause
you could pull wagons in here, or back them up. I don't know. Maybe you could have pulled
Originally,
them.
you would have pulled them all the way through.
Got it.
Okay, but when they put this into the barn on here
You
like this,
couldn't do
close
that
off,
anymore.
You have to back it in.
Right.
That's probably about the time. Well, this original structure, I don't know when it was put in. This original barn structure. I don't know. But the rest of the structure probably about 1930s. The electricity probably came in with the Rural Electrification Act around sometime in the 1930s.
Oh, yeah, I heard.
1930s, 1940s.
I read a little bit about that. In history.
It may not have come in electricity into this particular area until the 1950s. I went down and got the garbage.
Oh, good.
Anyway, so yeah, that's some of the history of this old barn.
That's pretty
What it
cool.
would have been like. But this old barn is I mean, it's pretty standard setup for a lot of the old barns. And you can see the rock foundation, just stacked rock.
Yeah.
On the original foundation, it would have just been stacked. They may have come by later and put some mortar in between.
Yeah. I think most of this was just stacked because I mean it's pretty loose. There's a section over here that's where the bunnies dug underneath.
Yeah.
And it was
it's
just all
stacked.
loose.
But over here you see cement and kind of cement troughs
Yeah.
behind. Those would have been put in later for this milking area over here, right?
Right.
So that you could rinse out and sluice out all the poop and everything.
Right.
And keep this place fairly clean and sanitary.
Right.
That's what that would have been for.
And
You can see those troughs do that.
I started digging it up. There was a whole bunch of grubs in there, so every time I'd like dig it up,
The chickens would come over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They liked it.
Pretty cool stuff.
It is.
Love
That's a
the
nice.
architecture and barns. These things are nice. And if you go up here into the hayloft and look up, you can see the old hay trolley.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And that you would have had probably out this end, but maybe, no, it probably would have been out this end over here. That you would hook up your cable to your oxen or horses and have them just go straight out that way. And you'd have somebody on that team and somebody out the other end, and they'd rig it up and just lift it up. And it's set up so that as soon as it lifts up and hits a certain point, it hits a stop that releases so that the whole trolley can come back on its tracks. And then you tell them, ho, when it gets to the point where you want it, and they just stop and lower it down. And then you undo the hay and stack it up there. So you stack from this end all the way up, do stair steps, and come all the way back to that side over there.
Nice.
My dad actually worked on those things. I mean, that was the technology of his time growing up.
Right.
So he did, my grandpa on my dad's side, and my dad, they grew up farming. So that's the type of thing that they knew that they did, how they worked it.
Grandpa might like to come visit this old barn.
Except he couldn't get up there anymore.
No, he couldn't. We still might be able to get that down, though.
Oh, eventually we'll probably get that down. And I wouldn't mind having
I wonder if it still
that.
rolls.
I mean, if I could restore this barn, the original structure, I'm not so worried about the outlier pieces, but the original structure would be useful.
Right.
Yeah.
We could probably do Highlands in the original
You
setup.
can't do Highlands over here.
Wait, not with this. This would have to change a little bit.
The stanchions don't work for milking Highlands because their horns are just
Too big.
to do that.
We would have to trim their horns or change the setup.
Yeah.
We would probably want them to keep their horns
But
because they use that for protection.
Yeah, we want them to keep their horns. But you can see the different sizes here. I mean, this was obviously a dairy barn at some point. And over here on this side, even though we've taken some of this out, this was the horse side. Okay? They had 2, maybe 3 horses in here. I mean, you could do 4, but that's kind of
Pushing it.
pushing it. But if you look at the size of stanchions on over here, and you've got a smaller stanchion over here, right?
Right.
And then you've got an even smaller stanchion set up over here.
We were thinking that either these were goats,
Or
maybe.
they were running smaller cows.
And that's what Tana said.
Running smaller cows.
That this is where they would probably train the younger cows, or were running smaller cows.
This could either be calves or goats.
That's pretty cool.
Generally, goats you don't put in a stanchion the same way that you do
No.
a cow. So. Anyway, it's a pretty cool thing. I wonder what that's for. This looks like they had a piece of wood coming in here at some time.
Maybe.
It would have been similar to what they did with these pieces. They go up, and you can go up top, and you can look and see they went. They go all the way
Support.
through. That one comes all the way down. This one they cut out. It would have come down in here someplace originally. It would have gone all the way through.
So, if you wanted to, you could keep the bottom part, this main part down here, And remove the top?
Put a different roof on it. That's the big thing is that the roof is not sound.
Right.
So everything's going to rot out eventually.
Okay.
That's the big thing.
Okay.
If it weren't for that, I would go, heck yeah, keep this. Take out the infrastructure, not the barn structure, but the infrastructure down here, and keep the hayloft.
Redo it so that it will house Highlands, who have massive horns.
The only thing we need to do for that is change these stanchions so that we can do a press gate instead.
A press gate?
And all you need is a couple of these on hinge to do a press gate. Because what you do is you put them in, you put them into where you want their head, right? And then you bring a gate around up from behind them to their head, and you press them up against the wall with it. And it's hard to get through these particular slats, but you can get some that have a place where you can get through to milk them.
Oh, okay.
And you run them through that kind of a thing. It's a little bit easier on a Highland, but with a lot of those, it's like bring them into the barn, or go out and have a spot in the field where you can take if you're trying to milk them, you take your milk dolly out there and milk them with that.
Right.
And just press them in a corner of your fence. So you've got to decide what you're doing that way.
Well, I'm sure we got plenty of time.
I don't know.
Might have to take that fence and block up that door for the cows that are still roaming in our back pasture, maybe.
Yeah, well, once we get this out, otherwise they can come through here.
Right. Oh.
I don't know the history on it. I have to look it up.
All you know is that it's an insulator of some kind?
And, it got used for a fence, I think. But I don't know that that's what it was made for.
Yeah, so the amount of stuff we're finding in that trough is,
Interesting, at least.
yeah. Budweiser bottle with the USA.
That's not
Olympics.
antique, that's probably...
No, but still, it's kind of cool. With the Olympic sign on it and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous the amount of stuff that we're finding in there. But
The previous administration did not do much about cleaning up after themselves, that's for sure.
seems that way.
Where did you put the...
Oh, it's back over there.
I'm not seeing... Back over where?
Just directly that way.
Oh, outside.
Yeah. I leaned it up against the fence and then came and looked at you.
Rain, you come in there looking at me.
Well, because I wanted to see what you were looking at.
You looked at...